All right, so if we look at our site, what you're going to notice right off the bat is that it has these fonts. You're going to notice that they're not the default fonts that you typically start with. And we also didn't actually in any way determine what we wanted our fonts to look at. Actually, let's go ahead and get rid of this stupid. It automatically makes that. But we don't have any formatting. We don't have any style applying to these. By default, Bootstrap actually comes with a default layout. Where is that section? Not there. Is it content? Oh, here we go. It actually comes. It has its own global settings for what the headings look like and what the body text will look like. I think it's Roboto. I'm not sure, but anyway, you'll see that they actually have these defaults already applied to those, in like the links and everything else. They already have all these applied. But it would be nice, obviously, to have our own typefaces. Okay, so to do that, it's actually pretty easy. What we're gonna do is there's a couple options for this. You can either the two proper options is either you would have the fonts on your server, you host them, and then basically the user would download them in order to view them, or you can embed them from a third party. Now, you can't actually do the former that I just said because you don't have the rights to distribute the fonts. But what we can do is go to Google. So google.fonts.com or something like that. I don't know. It'll figure it. Oh, it didn't do it. Fonts.google.com. Fonts.google. Okay, that's what I thought it was, but I did it earlier and it wasn't that. Okay, so you go to fonts.google.com, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you this interface. And it's a pretty sweet interface. Basically, what you can do is type something up here that you would want. So let's say I'll just do cones, although I never actually wrote that in the website. And then it's going to have a whole list of websites for you that you can view. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of them. All sorts of options and stuff. It's running really slow for some reason, but you will see all these different fonts if it uploaded. Okay. I'm going to give it a second. It'll give you a whole series of fonts here, and it shows you all of well, it's not showing me those, but it'll show you all these different fonts that are available, which is pretty awesome. Okay. Now, you generally want to get two types of fonts. You want to have a body font and a heading font. Okay. The heading font is your interesting visual font. It draws the viewer in, but it's not good for large bodies of text because it's hard to read. So, for instance, the ransom font, right? Like it's like where this looks like little pictures, or like the goosebump font, like the drippy looking thing that's like a nightmare font. Those are interesting. They're visually interesting, but we can't. If you had a whole body of text, like hundreds of words written with it, it would strain your eyes and be difficult to read. So you really want two fonts. So the way that I go about doing it is I will put in like maybe what my title is going to be, and then over here they have categories. I will turn off serif, sans serif, usually handwriting, and definitely monospace. Okay, unless you want to use the serif or sans serif, but more than likely your display fonts. Sometimes they're called fantasy fonts. They're your fonts that are more visually interesting. Okay, so you can see there's all sorts of different options here. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of them. I kind of like this one. Let's do this one. So I'm just going to grab this one. Grab whatever one you want. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to find one that I like. I click on it. Okay, and it's going to bring me to a page that's dedicated to it. It'll give me a little bit of information about it, as well as like settings and things that I can do. About it. I think it tells you something about the author, things like that. All right. What I want you to do though is at the top here, if you know you're happy with it, you can click on this little plus to say select the style. You're going to see this little panel is going to pop up, and it's going to allow you to link it. But we need at least two fonts. Sometimes you have three. You'll have three fonts. One for like a highlighting font, like maybe where you have emphasis or like a quote. But we'll just do two for now. So I'll call this my title font. One of the cool things this does is that if you scroll down on the bottom here, you'll see popular pairings, right? It's almost like when you go to dinner and they go, this wine goes very well with the foie gras, right? It's the same kind of thing. You want to have body text that matches what your heading text is. And they actually give you a bunch of options. So you can click on each one of these, and they'll show you this is terrible. thank you. What they work well with. So you can see here, it's using it as the body and then something else as the heading. I'm thinking Open Sans or Roboto. I'm going to go with Open Sans. So if I like that one, I'm like, yeah, it looks great. I click on this little plus, and that will add it now to my code here. You'll see it's a little bit different, okay? So with this, I can embed this into my website. So you'll see there's two sections. We can do at import. That means we're going to download it. We don't want to do that. We're just going to link it. You're going to grab this section here, the link section, Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac. Go back to your site. Let's make this big. And then inside the heading, right? So here's the header. I'm just going to go ahead and do that for some reason. I thought I clicked there. And hit Control-V. Okay? And that's going to link now Google to your site, right? Basically, it's like a CSS sheet. However, it's not going to work quite yet because we haven't actually applied that CSS to anything. So what we're going to do is, that's what this is. Here are the CSS rules. I'm going to grab both of them. Again, Control-C or Command-C. Go back to my site. This time, I'm going to go to my CSS section. You can see the CSS3. Expand that. And then what I want to do is this. I want my headings. I'm going to go, actually, let's do this. Control-V to paste it. Okay. And then what I want to do is do an H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. Okay? Boom, boom. And this should contain my heading font, which was this one. Oops, no thank you. This Fascinate. I'm going to grab this, Control-C, Control-V, and let's just do this to make it easier. And we don't need this one anymore, okay? Now I need to do one for my other element. So we'll do P, A, and let's do LI. We might need more, but those are my basic kind of body-ish things. Go like this, and then I'm going to grab this guy, Control-X for cut, as opposed to Control-C, which is copy. And then let's just put these up at the top here. There you go. So now on my H1, 2, all the way through 6, it's going to apply this, and my P and these, it will apply this. And if we look at our thing here, you're going to see, yep, all of the titles now. We can't see the ones below. Let's see if we can, I don't think I can get to them. Oh, wait, kind of. If you look down there, you can kind of see that's being applied, but it's also being applied to these here, okay? It's not being applied to the nav bar, or actually I think this one's getting the secondary one because that's a list item and also a link. But these ones down here are definitely getting it. And if I want to, particularly target something, I can target them by, using more specific CSS, like put an ID or a class on an element, and then I can target it in here. But as far as like the Google fonts are concerned, that will more or less give us what we want. And so you can see there, we've got Google fonts now embedded. Yay! All right.